Or to call the Board of, or the Selectmen's meeting to order at 7:11 for February 10th. Mr. Hughes, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can just approve the agenda as amended, but that's the only change I have. Does anyone else have anything?
No.
All in favor of approving the agenda as amended?
I do have one comment. I think Tom Hughes is here about Ethan Allen Day,
Okay.
and is my impression that at our last meeting, we told him that we would give him answers tonight? Is that your recollection?
Recollection.
So can we add that to the agenda?
Let's add that at 7:20 in lieu of the rec department update.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes for January 27th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for January 27th, 2025.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
A couple things.
You go first, Mary Lee.
Okay, on page one, approval of the minutes, there's a line change. It's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Page 3, it says page 3, last line on the page. The first land should be deleted, or first line should be deleted?
You're asking us?
I'm thinking it's line.
I don't remember. I honestly don't.
Why would you delete a land?
Because it might have said land twice. I think we were talking about town land.
Oh, I think that was, the word land was used twice. I think you're right, Rob.
Okay, land should be deleted, all right.
So it was just a double word.
Okay, that's okay, when we're in the highway department, when we're talking about the plow blades, it's spelled incorrectly. It's S-A-B-R-E, from what you told me. And here it's S-A-B-O-R. In two places on that same paragraph. And on the page 4, we're under manager's report. The first item, or early April to start the project. In early this fall, I think you can take in out of it and just say to start the project early this fall. And on page 5, under select board's comments, Mark Brown referred to a letter received from Jim Leaney. He has drafted a reply. It says, is anyone would be, and I think it should be, if anyone would be interested in addressing it with him. And that's all I got. It's the least I've ever had.
Anything, Rob?
Page 4, under manager's report, the backhoe and Chevy 1500 are being disposed of after they get the plow off the truck. I didn't think we were getting rid of the backhoe.
No.
So I guess it would be just the 1500 is being sold after they get the plow off the truck. Continue down, M. Jones stated 120 new Tandem is back in service. Continue on. A trackless dealer was called, found out what was needed for hydraulic fluid. It should say a trackless dealer was called and they found out what was needed for tractor fluid, or the town mechanic found out what was needed for hydraulic fluid. Page 5, The kitchen sink was backed up at the CVS building. M. Jones had someone from the highway department take care of it. I believe we had Russ from the sewer department and John Alexander take care of it.
Correct.
Next paragraph down, M. Jones had gotten a quote for the overhead doors, will come before the board for approval. You should say he will come before the board for approval. And that's all I had.
Mark?
I'm good.
Bob? I wasn't here, so I'm good too.
All in favor of approving the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't here, yeah.
So we're, citizens' comments, items not on the agenda. Tell us who you are.
Bob McIntyre.
We knew that, Bob, but you gotta say it anyways.
No, that's all right. And I'm here on recreation, as a recreation volunteer. I wore my badge tonight as we were down supporting the coaches and the families down at the rec center, which we came to our attention needed to happen. There was some incidences at the rec center. A hole was kicked in the wall, and some people got up on the stage and created some ruckus up there, and some disturbance. So my wife, Mary, got together and said we need to get some volunteers to help out with these programs, because in order for our rec center to succeed, we need to have some support down there. So we have several volunteers that are ready to do that. What also would be a big help is to have a calendar of events. So we have people that are very ready to volunteer and help us out and support in any way they can. But if we don't have a structured calendar of events, we can't say to them, yes, would you come and cover Friday night for a basketball game for us, or Tuesday for, there's gonna be a birthday party in there, we just need to make sure that the building is open and let somebody in and monitor what kind of behavior is going on in there. Because whether they are kids or adults, it still needs to be monitored. We can't just leave the building unlocked and in the trust of other folks. We take a lot of pride in that rec center. We would really like to see it succeed. In fact, Dick, you know that Mary's striking up a fundraiser so that we could get a nice new floor in there. And so we were and we've started saying at the beginning of our basketball games and such that we recognize that our building's a little older, but it's not abandoned, and we'd like to be able to get it into shape so that we can really take some pride in it. This building is worth a lot. And if you folks would come to one of these events, any of the events, whether it be pickleball, whether it be a basketball game, you can see our communities coming together. I've now done my third event. Christ the King come over, play basketball. Fair Havens come over to play basketball with us. You know, Polney comes to play basketball with us, and it is a big community center where people can get together and they can really appreciate their community, such as pickleball. We've started that. There's other programs. There's a lot of potential for that building. There's a lot of rooms there that can be used as opportunities also. Namely, we really would like, so that we could get volunteers. My wife went to Shaw's Saturday afternoon, and she got 20 people that say that, through one person, she got 20 people to say that they would be more than happy to volunteer. You just need to reach to them and let them know what they would be volunteering for. So that calendar of events would be very important. And a couple other things that I'm being questioned on, because Mary and I are quite visible, because we're involved in the community, and so people are gonna ask us questions. And myself, I'm wondering, now they started an adult basketball program on Saturday afternoons. I don't know if anyone still knows that, if that's going or not. Last I knew, they were going in there and they're still not being charged as our pickleball people are being charged. Mary keeps a good eye on that, and they're paying their monthly fee, so they're helping us support the building. So if there's people in there with the adult basketball, it was in the announcement that they were gonna try it for the month of January, so we're now into February, and I'm curious if it's still going or not. who has a key to it, and are they just getting in there, and are they not paying their dues like our pickleball players are playing? And the Drama Club, which is wonderful, we went and watched their play that they had done this past winter, The Little Mermaid, and Sarah's a wonderful person. I just think that we need to make sure, structure-wise, we have some fees in place in the building. She's now using one of the back storage offices up on the stage as a storage area. Sarah, this is a livelihood for Sarah. This is kind of like what her profession is, and I didn't know if she was paying a fee for storage. We were there this past Friday night, and they were doing auditions, which is great. They were doing auditions, but they were in the building Friday night and Saturday for auditions. We didn't know that until, because we didn't have a calendar of events, but we were leaving our event and they were in there giving auditions, which again is great. She's involving the community, but things like this, that people are using it for, well, their own games, I guess you could say, or not much games, but they do have a business in it. I mean, we have opportunities in that building also to, like I said, with all that office space. And we also have opportunities for other volunteer type programs that can go on in there. We have Michelle just around the corner there, and she'd love to do a baking class for us at some point. But I'm mostly here. Mary and I are very passionate about this building. I think it's irreplaceable right now. We're gonna head up, get a head of steam, get a good floor in there that will be able to be used for any type of event, and it'll stand up to it. So that's a good thing. That's a good positive thing. We just need to make sure we get some good support for that building and keeping it clean, keeping an eye on it, making sure that it's maintained. We have a lot of people asking us questions about what's happening with it. Again, because Mary and I are out there, we're in the community, people know who we are, we're very approachable, and those are the kind of things that are going on. So I'm hoping that we, or you know, support from you folks, that we can get a calendar of events so that we can get our volunteers, which we know will come forward and help us out in that building. And everybody should take time and just come and see one of those events. See what's going on. Walk in on us on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock and see how many people are there. Walk in on Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Thursday morning, and there's other things that are going on there that I can't account for right now because I'm not positive, but I know we're trying to get other things to go in there. So just asking for some support.
Bob, I have dropped in there a couple times randomly over the past few weeks, and I've been happy to see people there doing stuff, various different things, and, you know, not many people, but people. And it's good to see smiling faces in the building.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that an accurate, complete calendar is on my short list.
Okay.
I'm not there yet, but
Yep.
I'm still gathering some data, but it's on my short list. I think that's an essential tool that we really need to get going quickly.
Yes, that'll be great. And pickleball is bringing in more people and what dues they're paying, and we're looking for another day of the week actually right now, and there was a little confusion on that because of lack of calendar. We, asked for a Friday. We said, well, geez, Friday is open as far as we know, and we were told, go ahead and, you can do that, but, well, we found out that there was 2 basketball games and 2 practices on the Fridays that lead through February. So fortunately, we have a connection with the coach, happens to be our nephew, Matt Ryan. He knew that we were looking to do pickleball on Fridays. He said, well, we'll change the schedule around a little bit so that Friday games can't be changed, but our practices can be changed. So again, the small community, we're pretty fortunate that we're able to, we know everybody.
I know I got a recruit for you for pickleball. The other day I was having a conversation with a local business owner, and her husband was driving to Manchester to play pickleball from Pulteney, and he was made aware that we have it here in Castleton, and he's gonna come see you
That'd be good.
or see somebody.
How long have you been doing pickleball, Bob, at the
We
school?
started on our 3rd year this year. Yep. Yes.
So this is the third year that they're doing pickleball, and it's still not on the calendar?
Yes. So, it's unfortunate because what's happening is, again, people know us in the school. There's been a couple different times where I've been asked to go out and open the school up, open the rec center up and allow people in. Even people that, the Fairhaven rec basketball team, the second, third, and fourth graders that are playing basketball there, I went out and rescued them one night. And there's also this misconception going around that that's still part of our zoo. Because when we got there, they were putting their little cards out, key cards out that they use to get into the high school and the grade school, trying to get themselves in. And we just said, let them know that this is a Castleton rec building. It's no longer, it's not a part of our zoo. You know, that's the reason for them being charged a nominal fee. I guess, I don't know. I don't even know, do we have a structured fee for the rooms or for the building? If somebody wants to rent it for something?
There is.
I had a
There is a
discussion,
structure?
it's either there or it's really close,
Okay.
the fee schedule.
Yeah, that-
Are we there yet,
get
Mike?
asked- We get asked that a lot too, so.
There's one that's a couple years old.
But it hasn't changed in a couple of years, so.
Because I know that there's an interest in, you know, not a bad interest, but there's an interest in us and how much money we're making through the course of the month. We realize that that's, you know, so that's where this pressure comes from, making sure that people are appropriately helping us out, save this, you know, to keep this nice rec center going. Like I said, I just came from being my volunteer tonight at a basketball game between the Fairhaven and the Castleton rec teams. And it was, I mean, people stand and visit, they get together, we give them a great place to be a community. So it helps strengthen our community. I really appreciate your support.
There's been a few conversations recently that have gotten my got my attention, and it's got some other board members' attention as well, so we're going to be addressing a few things in very near term, very near future.
Anybody have any questions of me?
Can you hang out here for a little bit, because our rec director will be here?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can get some answers to your couple questions you had there.
Okay, that'll be good.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Anything else for citizens' comments? Anybody on Zoom, Mike?
Nobody that hands up. Anybody in Zoom have a question for the board? You know, we got Roy Newton's on and Martha.
Okay, so, moving on, we got a application for a appointment to the Rec Commission. I think this was generated by Josh Ferguson, but he didn't sign it, is that correct? This letter of intent?
There was I handed out there should be a letter in there for the stuff I just passed
This one?
around.
No, I put it right here. It's one of those, Dick, right there.
It's an email. It says
That one
administration
or
at the
the
top.
other one? Has his name at the top.
Okay, yep.
You got it?
There was a letter of recommendation and his request. Should
Who's the
we-
letter of recommendation from?
Who generated this document?
It was John Alexander.
John Alexander generated this document, okay. Because there was no signature on it, so I had no idea who generated it.
That, and then I asked that Josh write actually, and him requesting it, not somebody else.
So it was, our chairman of our rec commission expressed a concern about the residency requirements in the Charter of Rights and Responsibilities that Mark and I authored earlier this year, right? Was it earlier, late last year? I think it was ratified in September or October of last year. And that states that the rec commission can consist of 5 to 9 members, but it didn't have any residency requirements. So in talking to Mark yesterday afternoon, and I shared with him Martha's concerns, that we think we will amend that to the majority of which must be Castleton residents. If everyone's agreeable to that, we'll make that change and then go through the ratification process. And I think that will satisfy Martha's concerns, won't it?
She's on, so I won't want to speak for her.
I'll ask her opinion. What we want to do, Martha, can you hear me, Martha? If you can, we want to change the Charter of Rights and Responsibilities, the membership requirements to say that it can be 5 to 9 members, a majority of which have to be Castleton residents.
That is fine. I'm agreeable to that.
Then Mark and I will make that change and we'll go through the ratification process, okay?
Thank you.
So now we have currently 4 members on the commission, is that correct?
Yes,
3 of which are Castleton residents, 1 of which is a Hubbardton resident, is that correct?
correct. Correct.
Okay, so that being the case, then Mr. Ferguson, if we appointed him, would still constitute a majority of the members being from Castleton. So that's all I'm gonna say about the membership requirements, and from there on, I'll open it up to the board discussion about whether we want to appoint Mr. Ferguson to a term on the rec commission.
I believe we should table this for now. I have some concerns and comments that I think need to be made in executive session.
All right.
I just have a question. Does Mr. Ferguson live in Castleton?
He lives in Fairhaven.
He lives in Fairhaven, but he's got a Castleton address. Is that correct?
He used to own property on Blissville Road. I'm not sure if he still owns it.
He still owns it, but it's not a residence.
I think it was torn down today.
My understanding is he resides in Fairhaven.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to tabling this to a subsequent meeting if there's things that need to be discussed, Rob.
I believe they need to be discussed in executive session.
You agreeable with that too, Mark, I believe?
And
'Cause I was wondering if it might be best if Mr. Ferguson, who is still not in town, made himself available to talk to this board before we appoint him. That was your suggestion yesterday, and I think I'm inclined to agree with that.
yeah, I would like, again, you said John Alexander wrote the letter of recommendation. One of my concerns is continue the groundwork for the Crystal Beach Capital Improvement Plan, which I know I have heard from Josh and John is a wedding venue, $1 million, $2 million pavilion up there. And I'm really opposed to that. I don't want to do anything that would compete with area businesses like the Lake Bombazine Lodge that makes their living on weddings. The beach is a wedding venue for someone that wants to do a low-cost wedding in a pavilion, and it's a low-cost facility for local residents, and I'm really committed to keeping it that way. That, there are people that can afford to spend whatever it is for a wedding today, $20,000, $50,000. There's people that can afford $200,000. And if they're residents of this community, there should be, they own the lake already. It's owned by the people of the state of Vermont, and the people of the state of Vermont deserve a cost-effective access to it. And I think that our town beach needs to stay cost-effective for all the residents of Castleton.
So we're agreed that we're gonna table the appointment for Mr. Ferguson until a later point in time when he can be here present and we've had a chance to discuss some things.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else opposed to that? So I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? Mark, you're our parliamentarian. Move on. So now we have a topic, we need a representative to the regional ambulance.
I make motion that we reappoint Alina Dutton to represent Castleton and the Rutland Regional Service Incorporated
For a 3-year term?
for a period of 3 years.
Does she want to be?
I hope so. She wrote the
She
letter.
wrote the letter.
I don't think it said in there that she wanted to be, though. It
Doesn't
just
say
said
that.
that we needed to reappoint somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
But she didn't say she doesn't want it either, so that was my question as to, you don't know, Mike?
She does it every year, so if she
well,
does
she
it-
says we request that you please reappoint or appoint a representative. So I would, once again, that awful word, I would assume that she's willing to accept a
Well, she's
reappointment.
going to now, because I make a motion I make a motion to reappoint Alita Dutton to the as the representative for the regional ambulance service for a 3-year term.
You didn't like mine?
Apparently not.
You gonna write mine with
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Exactly like yours.
I second Mary Lee's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reappoint Alita Dutton for a 3-year term to regional ambulance. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Mr.
we
Chairman?
had Hughes, Mr. Hughes in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, we're supposed to have Mr. Hughes at 7:20. and you just skipped right over that.
My fault.
It's okay.
I stand corrected.
It's okay.
Mr. Hughes, would you please approach the podium?
Yes, my name is Tom Hughes. I'm not gonna assume
We have a,
this in front of you.
I think we have that, right?
Everybody got this the last meeting?
yeah,
I've got 3 copies.
I didn't get this, but, yeah. We got that piece of paper, I think.
I have one.
Okay. So I don't have anything to say, except let me know if you have any questions. I'm hoping that,
well, when I looked this over, Tom, I saw basically you need to have 2 conversations, one with us, which we're having, and one with the Lions Club, which you either have had or you will have.
we'll have, I'm thinking, start with you, and then do all the obvious things after that, you know, like schedule porta potties when I already know that we are allowed to use the space.
So when I was looking this over, I think it's just as simple as we authorize you to use town property for this event, i.e. the village school parking lot, or former village school parking lot, and the town green. And now, the only question, or I have 2 questions. The first question is, do we need state approval or anything to have a parade on Main Street, or can we just do that?
Yeah, we just do that.
We can just do that.
It's not.
So we're back to just the 2 conversations. The second question is, do we own the Hydeville Green or not?
That's what I had written down too.
It was found out that we do not own that. We
Okay.
mowed it for many years, but we do not own that.
Do we know who does own it?
Several, it's owned by landowners that live there, that they all have pieces of that, so it's not just one person.
Mr. Hughes, you need to have 3 conversations if you choose to do so.
We're gonna drop the Adjourn green then.
Okay.
We'll just-
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they would let you do that, but we can't authorize that because we don't own it.
Understood.
So what we need is either a motion
I've
or,
got a couple things.
go for it.
The safely build one modest campfire on the village green. I would like you to maybe talk with Chief Guyette to make sure that that's okay. And I think it should be made in a raised, enclosed fire pit so that we're not burning the grass on the town green.
Which number is this?
It's like the 4th paragraph down. Starts with permission.
Okay. Chief Kayet, you said?
Yeah, he's our fire warden and the fire chief. I'd like to see a letter from the Lions Club that says it's okay. And we also probably should make sure that they have insurance for this.
Event insurance.
Yeah. So we need to see proof of event insurance, whatever our lawyers think would be the coverage that's needed for something of this sort.
The Lions Club have?
No, you.
No, you're gonna need to have some sort of insurance.
I'm just the liaison to the town. There's no organization, it's just town. Town's doing this. You know, working with a committee, but,
The town is doing it?
yeah.
We're doing it?
Town money, yeah.
Remember, the voters appropriated money to do this?
That's right. We did. So I guess we need to figure out how to cover that from a liability point of view.
If it is a town event, it is covered under our insurance.
Okay.
I got one very silly question. If you're gonna have horses, are you gonna have someone clean up after them as they go down the road?
I love it.
Well, it's
Yes.
Silly, but it's a real thing.
What do we normally do in a regular parade? They've had horses in a regular parade.
I don't know.
They're supposed to, they're told they have to
I'm
pick up.
asking.
this.
Supposed to clean up their own horse exhaust.
Okay. Okay. I've just never physically seen it. I've been to a lot of parades, but that's okay. It's all good.
I have a question about operating a drone. This is in a residential district. The rest of the world doesn't seem as concerned about it as I am, but I find it a terrible, terrible violation of my privacy to see a drone over my property. I would want to make sure that whoever was operating this knew that they were in a residential area and that they should respect that as such, that I don't think it's fair that people have an impression that a drone is filming in the windows of their home.
Yeah, well, we don't need a drone, so I can cross that off if you like, but we could certainly limit the drone operator to only fly it over the town green and not over private property.
I think that's a real concern that you have to be sensitive of.
I agree, and there's so many houses there. even doing just the green, you're gonna get some of the
Okay,
houses.
so we'll skip that.
Right, you may not have curtains on your upstairs bathroom because nobody can see in it, but
I don't have a window either.
when a drone goes by, it's a different thing.
Okay, I'll drop that.
Okay.
So this is technically a town function, and it's technically, and we're already covered under our insurance, and we're funding it. Do we need a motion to authorize this? You see what I'm saying?
I wouldn't think so. I think we just need to ensure that everything is
Just
done the
need
way
to
that we
be
wanted.
in collaboration with you to make sure we're,
I think that
conforming
we
with-
should make a motion to accept these terms, but anything additional would need select board approval.
We can do that.
Instead of just saying carte blanche and finding out that
Yeah.
they brought in a Ferris wheel too.
Agreed. So why don't you,
I would make a motion that the select board accept the requests of the Ethan Allen and Castleton committee? Is it a committee?
Sure, yes, so 1 through 9, and number 5 has an add-on that we talked to Chief Guyette and have the fire under raised something.
That would be 4. Number 4.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right.
Now, Tom, are you gonna get a hold of the Lions Club, or,
Right,
okay,
probably,
so you'll take care of number 5?
Right, right.
Okay,
But there was no point in working with them until I knew that it was okay with you.
no, that's okay. I'll second your motion. Did anybody second it? Were you done with your
Lions
motion?
Club doesn't meet until next Monday.
Okay.
No, next Monday's the 17th, so they can't.
We're not meeting the 17th.
That's right.
We're not meeting till the 3rd
The Lions Club canceled their meeting, I just saw an email, because of the,
because of you guys. Yeah.
I think if you get the okay to plug in on lead cord on the 3rd of March, that'll be adequate. Plenty of lead time. Yeah, and we would need confirmation that the Lions Club is going to allow you to do that. I think Mr. Steele's concern is a good one, and I like his concern about the campfire.
I've got one more concern, that it be cleaned up after it's all over, it's not left to the town.
A parade vendor or two, reading a gubernatorial resolution, having a dramatization, not gonna generate a lot of litter, but we'll certainly have a couple of trash cans, for people to use. Make sure that the Porta-John company picks up the Porta-Johns afterwards. And we're looking for volunteers to help with cleanup in case.
Like I said, I'm not concerned about having trash cans available.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the stuff being put in the
Trash cans rather than thrown on the ground,
Sure.
which seems to be too easy these days.
Yeah, the area needs to be left as it was found. That's
There you go.
as simple as it goes.
Just like the Lions Club does with their auction, they leave it the way they found it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're willing to do that, I think that addresses Mary Lee's concern.
Did we
Okay,
get-
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the proposals from the Ethan Allen Commission 1 through 9. With the conditions that the campfire is built on a raised platform and with the consent of the fire chief. And that the Lions Club consents to the electrical hookup. And that all town property is left in the same condition it was when they started.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Let us know what we can do to help.
That was the biggest thing you could ever do, so
Well-
thank you very much.
I'm sure something's gonna come up.
Yes.
And when it does, let us know and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Yeah, you haven't seen the last of me.
You can get a hold of me or you can get a hold of Mike or come to the board.
I'll come to a town meeting too, in case.
Anybody has any questions? That's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
So now I have 3 copies of this,
I do too.
but that's okay. I got the envelope, that's the important part.
Yeah, there you go.
I got that last time.
A lot of stuff
I brought it
again
with me
today.
just in case. Okay, we're gonna move on. What's next?
Department of Liquor Control approval.
Got a couple licenses. You wanna do the honors, Rob?
Sure. I would make a motion to approve the Lake Bombazine Lodge LLC for their first-class restaurant bar license, third-class restaurant bar license, and outside consumption permit.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have nothing to sign on these anymore, correct?
Correct.
I would make a motion to approve Toltec Incorporated doing business as Beverage King Market and Deli for a second-class liquor license, tobacco license, and tobacco substitute endorsement.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna talk about a fiscal year 25 municipal planning grant. Mike, you're up.
Nobody here from the planning commission, so.
I didn't see anybody.
So this planning grant could be used for updating the town plan, which is coming up soon. Yeah, we usually start 18 months in advance or so. So there is a opportunity for some of these costs to be deferred. Typically, what happens is the Rutland Regional Planning Commission is hired to help. That's typically what happens when they're updating the town plan, but they certainly can apply for this grant and help defer cost. We've done it each time, whether it's the town plan or if it was like the UDR, anything that we get help from the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. There's usually some type of grant that supports it as well.
So what do you need from us on this?
Just approval to apply for it.
You have to apply or Rutland Regional applies?
We apply for it.
We
The
need to
town.
make a motion or just give you?
Rutland Regional probably dispenses the money, is that how that works?
No, well, it's a program, yes, it comes down through them. We don't have to pick them to do the work, but
Yeah.
it's administered through them.
I think it would be best to make a motion, Mark.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we authorize the town manager to apply for the fiscal year 2025 municipal planning grant.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We want to review and discuss the ballot articles for the town report and the pre-town meeting. What our town manager has done is divided up the budget articles among the 5 select board members. If you're all agreeable, we'll just accept this as presented. We don't have to make a motion or anything, just agree to. So what this means, for those of you who are new to this process, is you need to scrutinize those particular budget articles and be prepared to explain them if anyone asks questions. So for instance, if you're asked, what is document recording and issuing, and that's primarily the town clerk, but you need to know that. And what
Yeah, I was looking through, I just have one question on my part here.
Go ahead.
Is Cedar Rack even still a thing?
There's, the Cedar Act's not, there's money in there that's been left in there for marketing. If we're gonna do anything to market, the town, some of it can be through Cedar, the Community and Economic Development of the Rutland Region. It could be through the Fairhaven Chamber of Commerce, anything that we belong to and we wanna market. There's those brochures that Mark Brown had started, when he was on the Cedar Rack itself, but the Cedar Rack itself is defunct.
Okay. I was just making sure, because that's what it's listed under, Cedar Rack.
Yeah, that's where the money is. Yeah.
I know that we do provide some money to Cedar, or we used to.
Cedar, Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
That's where that line item is, or that's what that's for.
$1,000. Okay. That's all I had for questions.
So if everyone's willing to, accept the concept, then, you can get with the town manager or myself individually to, if you have questions about the budget that you need to have explained that you don't understand, because, you will get a couple of questions maybe on some of these during pre-town meeting, but we need to be prepared to give a proper explanation for each one of these if asked. And, two of the big ones are you and me, Bob, but we've dealt with them before.
We'll handle it, Dick. We'll handle it.
Highway and transfer station are always high on the list
Yeah.
for people to want to know about. Now, the other issue I had was article,
I'm sorry. I have some information I'd like to share with you. I did some comparisons with other communities in Vermont of a similar population on the highway budget and the police budget
okay?
that are pretty favorable. Stowe, Newport, and Heinsberg were the three communities that have a population very close to ours, 45 and change. And Stowe and Newport, the highway budget is substantially, several $100,000 more. And so are their police budgets. Our police budget comes out to $159 per person, and Stowe and Newport are like $240 per person. So I know those budgets both look like a lot of money. They are a lot. It is a lot of money, but it's not unreasonable.
That's a great comparison to have right there to be able to give people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the local realtors just the other day, and the additional police coverage came up, and, that person was very favorable towards that. But that realtor was also talking about how much more attractive some of the properties in Castleton are because we have a full-time police department, and some of the surrounding communities do not. Like, for instance, Poultney. She was specifically comparing us to Poultney because Poultney had agreed to increase their law enforcement budget to contract with, I believe it's the sheriff's department, for more than 40 hours a week, but the sheriff's department did not have the availability, so they were not able to support that request. And so she was just saying what a favorable thing it is to have a full-time police department. When I told her what the budget number was, and she said, well, that's really actually pretty cheap insurance when you think about it.
Stowe and Newport are 1.9 million.
And we're what?
And again, they're within 100 of our population. Heinsberg is the closest at 815.
We're 690 or something like that.
713.
Yeah, it's 7 something.
Yeah. So
Which
ours
is still, a significant part of the budget, but it's really nice to have,
Something to compare it to.
yeah, A and B, when you need help, you can make the phone call and they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a minimum of, under normal circumstances, minimum of 18 hours a day, there's a police officer on duty here in town. Under normal circumstances. So right now, it's a little more than that, but there's a limit to how long we're gonna be able to sustain that.
Yeah, I've got some similar data I'll share with you on highway department that's
Okay,
pretty favorable as well.
So moving on to, we also have the additional articles for, increasing the reserve accounts or the highway budget. So does anyone want to take a shot at those at pre-town meeting?
You can do it.
That was quick.
I think she was ready for me, Dick.
I think so too. I was kind of hoping that maybe, Bob would take the highway department and Mark would take or Bob would take the highway department equipment.
Okay,
And Mark would take paving and I'll take the fire department.
okay.
And I think we can all pitch in if necessary.
Yeah.
If we have something to
Yeah,
add.
so that people can understand. Now, the other ones are, eliminating the constable, we'll all have to speak to that. And then, small tools reserve account for Castleton first response, I don't believe that'll be contentious. Because
said
there's not
paving for
actually
me,
any
correct?
money involved, that's just to create the account so that we can put money in it.
You said paving for me, Dick?
Yes. You're a numbers guy, you can work those numbers just as well as I can.
I have some numbers to share with you. We just got the quotes for paving.
Good.
I got some numbers to share with you.
So why we feel it's necessary to ask this question. You know, that's the real thing, and the same thing with the highway department equipment fund and the fire department equipment fund, why we feel that it's necessary to ask this question as a separate issue, because the public needs to know, they need to know why, and then they need to give us an answer of what they want us to do.
Right.
Anything else on the town warning articles? We don't need a motion on anything, we just need to make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you for your vote of confidence, Mary Lee,
You're welcome.
but I thought I would share the wealth. And I thought these two gentlemen would be willing to do that, and they're definitely qualified. You know how much equipment costs.
Thank you, Dick.
I'm willing to help
Bread and
anything,
butter
you know, with anything you guys need.
All good. All good.
Establishing a separate revenue account for the TSA contract. I think I understand it, Mike, but help us out.
Right now, the contract that we have with TSA to provide the terminal, or operate the terminal, they provide the terminal, and the manpower to operate that terminal on Wednesdays of each week, that money was it was coming in under a revenue line for rent. And what happened this past fiscal year, the one that closed on the June 30th of '24, was it didn't offset the police department's operating budget for personnel. So it looks, they're overspent by 74,000, I believe, that off the top of my head. 31,000 of that is from TSA, so the money that we pay for benefits, wages, FICA, all that stuff. So it looks terrible. And what this will establish is a special reserve like we do for the SRO, because SRO gets paid directly out of that fund and does come out of the police operating budget, so it's not skewing it. This skews it. So by establishing the separate special revenue fund for both revenue and the operating expenses, it will stand alone away from the police department budget and not skew those numbers. So I spoke to our auditors, and they have been working this. They could have done it for '24, the end of '24, but it would just delay it further, and I wanted something before the 17th to have the financials for the audit. So this would start in '25 for the current year we're in right now, so it'll end, and at least that stuff will be separated and not skew that police department budget. And the other thing that's a separate note is when the resolution was made by the select board to place the ARPA funds into the general fund, it now triggers a single audit. So no big deal. It's not the end of the world or anything, but it just kicked us over the $750,000 that in federal monies. So it's in our budget, but it's another $3,000. But we budgeted for it anyway, because you never know year to year where we're going to land with the federal dollars. So
The single audit that's happened in the past.
it's happened like out of the last 7 years, happened four times.
Yeah.
So, but this right here would be your approval to establish, and there was a separate sheet I gave you with a one-liner.
Yep.
For the motion.
That's the wording that they'd like to have.
Correct.
We want to make the motion, or do we want to discuss it more?
I'm ready to go.
I would make a motion to create a new fund to account for the TSA program administered by the Castleton Police Department to reflect all revenues and the respective expenses effective for fiscal year 7/1/24 to 6/30/25.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion on this?
I do have a question first. So someone comes in, they want to get this TSA pre-approval. There's a fee associated with it,
Correct.
$50 or something.
I don't remember what it is. I did it, but I don't remember what it was.
How much of that comes back to the police department or to the community?
What comes back to the police department is we submitted a budget based upon the number of hours that it's open, the wages. So Ed Hayes Officer Hayes and Chief Mantello are the two that administer that on Wednesdays. So there's a rate that was put in there, their FICA, their Medicare, all that stuff. We charge them that amount plus a part of it's for rent space, renting a space. So that money, it offsets all of our costs. That's how it comes in. So TSA makes their money through the fees, but the town gets reimbursed for all of our costs, so that's cost neutral to the, there's a little bit left over, it's not a whole lot.
Okay, so if we have citizens from another community come in, it's not costing Castleton taxpayers to process that?
Correct.
Okay. Then I'm good.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we have a rec director? We do not yet. Hang on. That's only 2 minutes after 8. Mary?
May I ask a question about an article on the ballot? You just were discussing articles on the ballot.
Sure.
I'm just curious if you could explain Article 29 in more detail, the sum of $195,048 for recreation.
I haven't done a deep dive on recreation yet.
I mean, that's a huge increase from last year.
Pardon?
It's a huge increase from last year.
Actually, I think it's a $3,000 reduction or something like that. something
Yeah,
like that.
hold on, let me find, I got the budget in front of me here.
Did the building, you had separated out the building last year.
The cost of the building is still in town buildings.
It's still in town building?
Yes. We had a separate article on that 2 years ago, and then last year we included it in the budget for town buildings. And this
Actually,
year we
it's
did not
down,
change it.
$3,416 from last year.
Okay.
Last year was $198,464.
Okay, good, that's good. Thank you.
So let's talk about the updated invoice for the tandem truck, Mike.
All right. You should have a copy of a new sales quote in there. And this was, this conversation started, Mark Brown had mentioned to me that there was a place on there for those carbide blades. And his research kind of mirrors what Jeff had said about they last longer. And those Kupfer or Kofer blades, whatever the pronunciation of that is, it would be worth probably adding those in there. So I asked HP Fairfield to provide an updated quote that adds the cutting blades, those carbide cutting blades. We'd still have to initial off on everything else that was previously agreed to. The only thing I asked him to add on there was the $790 60-month starter and alternator warranty. I originally had said to the board that I can take it out of the operating budget. We don't need to add it in there, but however you want to do it, we can add it or just take it out of the operating budget. I just need to let him know, so when they process the paperwork, it's not going to be, it won't be an add to this.
This is all reserve account at this point.
Say it again?
This number of 278,481 is all reserve account, correct?
That's correct. No, this is not reserve account. This is our loan.
Yeah, which is paid for out of the reserve account.
Correct. But it'll be a 5-year term on the loan.
So is this number 278,481, is that with everything added on?
To be honest with you, I didn't add it all up. I don't believe so. I think you have to add in the stuff that you check off, the options, and get a different number.
Correct. I brought up, I mean, we just spent money, had a discussion and decided that on our current trucks,
My phone.
we would pay the extra to upgrade to carbide blades. They weren't, the Cupper brand, it's a different brand, but,
Saber.
pardon?
What, the ones that we ordered already? Those were Saber.
Saber, yep. So this is a competing product, same thing. I just thought if we decided that this is a cost-saving measure for the town, why wouldn't we start with this truck.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is just the cutting edge that bolts on the bottom of the plow. I think the standard ones, in a good year, you get a season out of them. You know, the information I read said these last 8 times longer. Would they go 8 years? I don't know. They also say they're easier on the pavement. And they're quicker to change. So it's $3,000. There's no offset, because when you buy the plow, the mild grade steel cutting edge comes with it. Does that make sense? So we would get them in the back of the truck. We might be able to use them on something else.
Or we could keep them in just in case, and during a storm, we break one and then.
break.
we've got
Yeah,
them
if you hit a
there.
catch basin or something and break
Right.
one. I'm guessing that we probably have some older trucks that don't have carbide cutting edges, and we could utilize these. And you can turn them upside down, so you get 2 years out of them.
It's always good to have metal spares.
So what do we gotta do, add everything up here?
Haven't we already agreed to do this? And what we're already doing now is just adding
Just
the
add-
carbide?
Yeah, so if, I was just thinking that, if you already made a motion on all the previous stuff, so if you just made a motion to add those Cooper blades, for the wing and the plow.
We already had approved the vibrator in the chute, the
Yep.
stainless steel toolbox,
Yep.
and the summer chute. The ground temp sensor we had not.
Correct.
And
And the 5-year warranty.
You're going with the 5-year, that was my question.
Yeah,
You're
that
going
you
with
guys,
the
you
5-year.
authorized the 5-year warranty.
So I can scratch
Mike is
off the-
proposing that we add the 5-year warranty on the starter and the alternator.
I would agree with that.
Mary Lee probably noticed they misspelled alternator, but that's what it's for.
Mary Lee didn't catch that one?
Yeah, I got that.
No.
I need it on my shovel.
I mean, if you want to, I just don't have my phone on me to add it all back up, if you want an actual number. I get probably unlock it.
I could just say I would make a
No, just push
motion,
it-
I would
push
make a
button.
motion that we approve
I don't lock my phone either.
$1,460 for a Cooper carbide on the plow, and another $1,460 for Cooper carbide on the wing blade, and another $790 for the starter and alternator warranty to the cost of the truck.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Oh, you can second for discussion, but I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
Were we gonna do the ground temp sensor?
Is that something we needed?
It's on there, I don't know.
You don't have to. It was just an option that you can get with it. Yeah, there's also a laser option I didn't put in here, I hadn't put in here, that shoots out a beam so you can see where your edge of the road, where your blade's gonna hit, shoots, but I'm like,
I'm a fan of the less electronics, the better personally, but.
Yeah, I don't think we have the ground temp sensor in any trucks right now.
Yeah.
And they haven't requested it, so I don't know why we'd bring it
Scratch that
up.
off?
no,
Okay.
because then they're gonna have to keep changing, the delivery, how much material's gonna be delivered every time the ground temperature changes. Our system doesn't do that either, so
Right.
Don't overcomplicate.
I would say don't overcomplicate it.
Right, some of it just requires experience.
I think I like your thoughts there. I remember owning a 66 Mustang that I opened the hood and I knew what everything did. So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
And you second it? Any more discussion, Bob? Or are you good?
No, but we need a dollar figure on it, 3710, is that what you guys come up with?
Well, he gave the 3 numbers.
I gave the 3 numbers, I think.
Okay. That's what I come up with, 3710.
I think with parts and labor, over the life of these blades, we're gonna save $4,000 or $5,000.
Well, how long did you say the ones have been on the Dodge for?
3 years.
Yeah, so we're already 2 years ahead on that.
What do they cost, like 50% more and last like 200% longer? It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out.
It's actually more like 400% longer.
And it makes it easier to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be better for the pavement.
So I will amend my motion so that it states at the end for a total of $3,710.
I'll still second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion on adding to the add-ons to the, dump truck we're purchasing from Fairfield? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Rec Director, you're up.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, thanks. Oh, here, I got a copy here, John.
So I thought we'd go bullet point by bullet point, to be able to work through the thing. I'm not gonna read the entire sections, but open them up for discussion. Recreation activities, the games, they're proceeding as planned. A lot of the initial scheduling hiccups have been worked out. Did learn about some issues with the referees that one particular referee that we've been hiring, which we're gonna have to deal with. But, other than that, the games have been fairly, well attended. Our hosts, Bob and Mary, have been on the job in terms of trying to keep the kids, in the attendance of their parents in the stands, and any unruly fans dealt with. Not that we've had any that I'm aware of at this point, but that's also one of the expectations of the hosts, fan conduct. Pickleball, we should see, it's been about 2 months now, so we could extrapolate the 2 months with the increased fees from $10 to $15 for resident and $20 for non-resident in terms of the revenue for pickleball. I did talk to Mike about how the pickleball works with how our facility rental program is going to develop over time, because there are pickleball sessions on the weekends, and if we are in a situation where we have a potential rental for the space with enough notice, I'll be letting pickleball know that we'll have to reschedule those regular hours, just because the revenue is fairly, well, it's significantly more at $75 an hour or $300 for the day. So it's just something that I'm going to have to work through with the pickleball program. Program development, we've had pretty significant development in regards to program development, specifically yoga. We went from having no yoga instructor since just prior to my arrival to 2 yoga instructors who will work collaboratively on a yoga program. Right now, the initial one that is scheduled right now, it's start March 27th, and that program, run by Jen Morrison Cheller, will run for 4 weeks, and each week she's going to do a different specialty in yoga, such as relaxation yoga, chair yoga, flexibility, but each week we'll have a different mode of yoga, and that'll be something that we will collect fees through HAGOV on. We're going to have, she has specifically daytime, morning hours, morning session, and as well as an evening session. So we should be able to hit 2 different, the retired crowd and the working crowd. And fortunately for us, both of them, both Jen and Jill Vitagliano is the other yoga instructor, They're both gonna be doing it entirely on a volunteer basis, so the entirety of whatever fees we collect for yoga will go to the recreation budget. And I anticipate it'll be well received. I've had pretty regular, requests for yoga, since I've begun, so. And we have a lot of other, programs starting up. They're in the works still right now, specifically with Marty Miller Alexander, whichever she goes by. She's got, she's the treasurer on the Friends of Rec, and she's very active in craft. So not only is she working with horticulture, she's also working with a lot of paper arts. And those will be beginning in, soon. We're hosting another Walk with Ease program right now. They started this morning, actually, through the senior center. And they'll run Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. As I mentioned earlier, the facility rental update. I included some of the rental fees that were preset prior to my taking over, and it occurs to me that there will be some fine tuning required for that for areas such as rooms that have water, that don't have water, that have kitchen specifically will probably have a different rate, especially if they're using the stove and the refrigerator and different amenities like that. So that does need some fine tuning, but we are planning on utilizing HayGov, specifically in HayGov. We presently rent the pavilions in Hay Reserve. So by the same way that you can go into Hay Reserve and rent a pavilion, you'll be able to go in and identify the space you're interested in renting. More than likely, it won't be an entirely online process. Most people aren't that familiar with the facility, but as time goes by, they probably will become more so. And I think it could be a pretty significant revenue source. We've had a couple birthday parties. We have a baby shower set for March 9th right now. And, it takes, just for instance, for a couple hours in a room, it takes 5 pickleball players to pay for a month's worth of pickleball to equal just, a couple hours of rent in one of those rooms. So, I think it could be a fairly significant source of regular revenue. And it opens us up to, I have had discussions with a local fitness center about his need for additional space for stuff like rooms for different physical fitness activities, and renting those rooms to him. So once we get that up and running, there'll be a significant amount of maintenance associated with it, but it should be worthwhile. You guys can stop me anytime if you have any questions. Communications and collaboration.
I'll stop you then.
Yep.
I've got some questions on the rental rates here.
Yep.
So these were set prior to you being there, and we've been getting these rates for everybody that's been doing activities there for the past year?
Pretty much, yeah. We,
So for instance, the open basketball gym on Saturdays for the adults that were in there, they were paying the $75 an hour for the gym?
Those are recreation department programs, so those are not necessarily gonna be somebody that pays rent.
The open gym for the adults, the people that came from Mark's work, is recreation activities?
Yes, and hopefully what will eventually become is similar to pickleball, so they'll pay for, they'll pay $10 a month, $20 a month in order to participate in that. These would be outside groups, either on a one-time basis, or, you know, if somebody comes and they want to, we'll use the Mint, for instance, just as an example. They want to rent this, come in and do their mosaics or whatever in the science room. And so they're going to do it for an hour, so we would charge them a set rate, either $50 an hour, or we may do something where we, if they don't want to pay that upfront cost, they may give us a certain percentage of the enrollments, which may actually be more in the end, rather than them taking the chance on putting up the money up front. So there will be, so the facility rental really is, it's gonna underpin some of the arrangements with different programming that goes under there, but if it's a department program, if it's something that we've set up, I'm running in through HAGO, we'll take money in through HAGO. So like, we don't charge pickleball for the actual hours that they've run in the,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, that would be, it would be astronomical. But, you know, it is something that, I guess that's kind of where we're, you know, talking about programming. That's why the yoga and those groups, that's why it's so critical that we get more of those programs that are generating revenue.
So the revenue that's generated from these programs, did I hear right that it goes into the recreation budget and not into the operating costs of the building?
I'm not sure on that question. It all goes into the general fund as far as I know. Mike?
Right now, what I was looking for was how to, a number, because those numbers I don't know will hold true, is, so Mr. Combs asked me for some information on the operating costs of the building, so I provided that to him, so that at a date in the future, those can be revisited to see if it's enough to offset the cost of the building. So the money would come back in to offset the cost of the building.
Yeah, so it was $2,274 for, what was it, December? Did that money go to the rec department, or is that getting put back towards the capital buildings or whatever for maintenance and repairs and general operating of that building, being heat, fuel, oil, electricity, all that stuff?
Was that HAGov? Was that through HAGov? Yeah, so HAGov, so then it's supposed to go to the operating cost of the building, is what when Christine processes it, and it goes over to the accountant's office, when they post it, it's supposed to offset the cost of the building.
Okay.
But we don't know if those are accurate numbers for these rental spaces, so that's something that the board's gonna have to wrestle with at a date in the future, now that we have some 2 years' worth of operating costs.
What is the cost of, say, having a birthday party or a bridal shower?
So the rooms that they rented the gym for 2 hours. So it was $150 for the birthday party. And then the bridal shower, they're renting the multi-purpose room, which is $25 an hour right now. That was a preset, and I think that is a little bit low, but I'm just going with it until we actually commit it to pay reserve. And that's when we're gonna have to tweak a lot of these numbers. You know, I think that the numbers have to support the overall percentage that we're hoping to be able to make. You know, I don't know what went into setting these numbers, $300 a day, $75 an hour for the gym. I'm not sure what calculus went into that, but hopefully we can maximize whatever rooms and amenities we have for maximum return on the rentals. Because I do believe this is going to become a very busy part of the rec center.
Now, did you say for yoga, there's 4 different branches and they're each 1 week?
Yep.
1 day, 1 week, or a whole?
So she's going to do there are 4 weeks. Each week will focus on one different
Every
style
day.
of room.
5
for a
days.
week. Yep. Yep. And there'll be well, no, see, she's only doing it one day a week. She does an 8:30 to 9:30 session and then a 5:30 to 6:30 session. So there's only one session per week so far.
So what you're saying then, if it's 4 different weeks and 4 different things,
Yeah,
if I was to go to chair yoga, I'd go once,
yes, yes.
once,
And then-
once in a month.
Right, and then what she's planning on doing is taking those interests and developing more classes from that. That's why it's so short of session. And Jill Vitagliano still hasn't set her, actual classes. She may do, 2 sessions a week, but, they're volunteers, so, I'm grateful for it. I'm hoping that, we can build on it. And this same woman is also interested in volunteering for Friends of Rec and the Recreation Commission. So I think she's going to become more and more involved in recreation.
Go ahead.
So I think this goes along the lines of what West Coast Swing did. They didn't make a lot of sessions because they wanted to gauge whether somebody would show up. And I think if they would have tried to rent space for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, she found out after the first session, nobody came back. So I think sometimes it's just gauging, is there an interest? And then if there's an interest, you do more. That's what I get a sense with at yoga too. But going back to the cost, so when I figured that, what the cost of the building is for the year, and I divided it by 365, and I divided it by 12, if you were to pay back 100% of the cost, which I don't see that ever happening, but it was like $189 a day, you'd have to bring into that building to pay it off. So I'd asked the board in the past, is there a target number that the board wants to see in revenue generation to offset the building costs? I'm just talking building, the utilities and stuff like that. Or is it just do your best? Because if you were to take for the first year was $68,000 for the operating costs for utilities, not the one-off things or office supplies and that kind of stuff. And then halfway through this year it was 33. So we're in the $66,000 to $68,000 a year right now to pay for the utilities and the normal operating costs, which includes things like the Wi-Fi and all that, and services for the fire system, the alarm system, and fire extinguishers and all that. So if you were to take that number and divide it by a tenth of that, if you're, say 10% is what you're looking for, it's easy math to start figuring out whether it's, $18 a day, or is it gonna be more than that? Because you take a tenth of $189 a day and you're down to $18.90.
I don't believe that $189 is that unreasonable for amount to bring in that building for a day.
I think at this point, we're at the data collection phase, so we need to gather more data, and that's what we're doing. And I think that we do need to come up with a goal at some point in time, but we have to make sure it's reasonable and achievable. But I don't think $189 a day when that building's full of people is an unreasonable goal.
Not at all.
May not be reachable this year, but it's, ultimately, I think we could get there.
Do we want to go over some of the questions that were brought up during public comment?
I think that those should be saved for executive session with the board and the town manager only at this point.
Okay.
Keep going, John.
Okay, so communications and collaboration, we do have the agreement with Roy from the Lakeside News, in regards to the page 3 section, which is dedicated to our recreation department update, as well as any photos that we would like to submit to him, reflecting department activities. I've also begun meeting with Friends of Rec President Andy Vermillier every Thursday at 3:30. And we definitely have increased our use of social media. Town of Castleton website and the recreation calendar. Springfield repairs. I've been asked to compile the list of, repairs needed, repairs and materials needed to be able to bring the fields up to, play ready. As soon as the snow melts, I understand we still have some discussions going on with some of the stuff that, Casella's, intends to do for Dewey Field, so, you know, those, things will take into account what it is that they're willing to help us out with on Dewey Field. I did have a brief discussion on some of what, Andy Vermillier's, understanding is at this point about some of the things that Casella's has, extended the offer to do, but we really need to hammer down on what the specifics are, and then we'll plan for, the spring setup for all the fields.
No, Mark, didn't you say that Casella's was gonna take over Dewey Field completely other than the mowing? Wasn't that where we had landed on that?
We don't have a signed commitment at this point in time.
Okay.
I think that we're close to that.
Does that fairly much describe their intent at this point?
I believe so.
Okay. I realize that's not a commitment, but, you know, at this point, we're gonna deal with best guess.
Yep. Yeah, there's some of, you know, going up the chain, getting authorization, but I do believe that we're gonna land in that space.
What we had asked John to do was identify the needs, and that should give you a good place to, you know, you can show them what we think the needs are, they can tell us what they think the needs are, and then, you know, between you, John, and whoever's, that entity can create a plan.
Yep.
And get it done.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Facility maintenance needs, similar to the above, you know, I've been asked to develop, compile a list of items and needs of maintenance and repair at the recreation facility. It's becoming increasingly apparent to me every day with the ice buildup that we have a pretty significant, heat transfer out of the envelope of the building right now. I mean, they did find some of that in their MERP assessment, but it's really about hours of reestablishing the envelope. You have a good layer of plastic above the suspended ceiling, but wherever it was, you know, it did work and stuff like that, they just left the thing open. And you can tell by the amount of ice build up on the ice dams right now, you know, you're finally getting some snow and snow melt, and it's building up pretty good. So you can look at that in a couple of different ways. You know, I look at it on kind of a positive note that if we do manage to fill in that envelope, bring it in tight, you know, we'll be able to realize some pretty good energy savings in that regard. Maybe some volunteer labor in the summertime or early spring before it gets too hot, and explore some blown-in insulation, the major part of the facility and over the older part of the school. So.
Makes the skin of the building last longer, too.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to continue looking maybe for grants to help with that, to help fund any of those projects that need to be done versus funding it out of pocket.
MERP is gonna allegedly MERP's gonna come around again, and since they've already done the assessment, that would be the easiest money that we could possibly get if we qualify. The latest report shows us we're a high energy needs town, which we weren't on the last one, so, hopefully that's positive for us.
We're poised to actually get some relief there, we hope.
Is that something you're doing, John? Is it the grants, or is Andy doing the grants, or, that was one of my main questions. Who's doing the grants?
I'm not a grant writer. If that's something you want to add to my.
No, I take care of the grants. I work with all the other departments on gathering data from them, and I write them.
We have had offers of grant writing from different people. I think maybe Mary Kearns or one of the women from the, library is, adept at grant writing. She's let me know that if we need or want grants for different stuff written, she'd be willing to help out, so.
I'm just going by what Andy Vermelia said right in the open meeting here. He said, our hands are tied because that building is still on the market. We took the building off the market, so what grants were he tied on? That was one of the other questions from the
There are
Castleton.
grants, sorry to interrupt, but there are grants that aren't like the MERP, things that the town's responsible for, but there are many organizations that you can get smaller grant amounts to do things. So if they can write those type of grants, like if they wanna write a grant that replaces the gym floor, or they wanna write a grant to redo a room for kids' spaces or something like that, those are out there. But I was talking to big grants, but the little ones, there's nothing stopping them from writing those grants. I mean, I think that if there's a modification of the building and stuff, it needs to come before the select board to, you know about it, but if it's like buying some workout equipment or something like that, I don't think that you guys are really gonna be worried about that so much, but if it modifies a room or changes some structure thing, they certainly need to come back. Or
How
need
would
to
they
come
find
forward.
those grants?
A lot of this stuff, I hate to say, but you go out there and you Google it, or you contact another town rec directors that have applied for these type of things. I still think it's prudent and to build a list of fellow rec directors across the region that you could send a blast email and say, anybody ever applied for a grant to do this? And then you might get, you go fishing, you might catch something.
I do know that, I thought that I got the impression in that same meeting, Bob, that there were individuals out there that were willing to put the effort in, but they wouldn't do it if the building was still for sale.
That's what the
So
impression I got.
the building
yeah.
is not for sale, so I would like to think that those same people are willing to put some effort into A, finding grants, and B, I'm with you, Barry, hang on. A, writing or finding grants, and then B, going out and trying to get them. And that's not necessarily a town function, that could be a rec commission function, it could be a friends function, it could be just.
I don't necessarily know if that would be a rec commission function, as that doesn't really fall into their charter of rights and responsibilities.
Well, or I'm just speaking in
Yeah.
general terms, I mean, or if Mary Lee wants to write a grant, I mean, there's no reason why she can't help out and pitch in.
I'm just going by what Andy said right in the
That's-
meeting here.
Yeah, and
So
that's,
he's the Friends and Rec department, so.
and I'm sure they're willing to put the effort in now that the building's not for sale. Go ahead, Mary.
Just to address, Bob, your question directly, I'm very confident that the Friends of Castleton Rec are going to be looking for grants for the gym floor.
Thank you.
So that's what they're talking about, yeah.
That's what I heard at the meeting, so. That's all I was looking for.
All right.
And the big hurdle's out of the way now, so.
Yes, exactly.
And I take it you guys have already talked about the revenue report, and that figure that was on, that's there, 2,274 from December. There was a supplemental, submission from Joe, as I understand, Joe Carmel.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk to him today, but I met with Christine on Friday, and there's some more work to do on that.
Okay.
It was, what I got from Joe was substantially lower than what Christine gave me, so I need to make sure I have the right numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm reasonably confident that some of this $2,200 was actually money that was realized from reserving the pavilion at Crystal Beach. How much of that, I don't know how much it is, but I know that some of this $2,200 was. So there's some more massaging that's got to go through, but this is a place to start. So John, I have one question for you. There's been a lot of concern about the calendar, and I'm wondering what specific plans we have as a town to get an accurate and complete calendar of events on the town website.
Well, the town website calendar, it's just a little bit wonky to use. That's really the bottom line about it. This most recent update that I did to it, on, I think it was last Tuesday, and thought it was all good, copacetic. Went back in, got an email from somebody about it, went back in, and for whatever reason, it had created another necessary step in the update for it. So, working with Hannah, and just worked through it and figured it out. So there's really no, it's just a matter of using it more. You don't use it enough to be able to be, you don't use it every day. So, you're going back to it in an irregular basis. And so you're not necessarily, no one in the town of Castleton is going to be 100% in regards to the town calendar. But over time, it'll become more and more user-friendly, and it'll be kept up to date.
Do you have an estimate of what that time frame would be to get it to say 90% accurate? Because I don't think we're 90% accurate now.
I don't know if we're 90% accurate. I'd have to look at it again.
I've got it right in front of me here. You got K through 2 on Saturday mornings on here. That's not on the calendar. Pickleball's been going on for 3 years. That's not on the calendar.
Pickleball is not on the calendar?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I disagree with that because I saw it on the calendar. I'll tell you what, Dick, I
Let's
sent a
not-
message,
I don't
I
wanna
sent a
get-
message to John today, and I said I will meet you within this week and go over all of the concerns. I got concerns from 3 different people, and I said I will work with him and develop a go-by of like how to, you can sit there and read it and go, first step is, second step is, like any other procedures you'd have, so that we can get ahead of this thing.
Time out. I do not want to get into the weeds on the calendar right now. All I want to do is establish if there is a plan and what the time frame of that plan is. That's the
week.
level this board needs to administrate. At the weeds, we can deal with individually, separately, offline. At this meeting, we need to decide what the time frame is and and then the town manager, the town rec director, and I, or whoever, can figure out the mechanism to get there. But what's our goal? We don't have a goal right now.
This week, I will meet, Hannah, myself, and John will meet, and we will go over all the concerns, make sure that everyone knows how to do it. So it'll be this week, we'll start that training, make sure everybody knows how to do it.
So when do you think we'll have a 90% accurate calendar?
We're gonna do it as we go, so this week, we should have 90% of what we know, I guess, is,
Do you think 90% is a good number?
It's a place to start. I think it needs to be, better than that, but we're not anywhere, I agree with Rob. I've been through this calendar several times in the last few days, and we're not 90% accurate. And, we need to get there and then get better. But at least we need to get the mechanism in place to get almost everything on there. And once those mechanisms are in place, then we can work on getting even better. But we gotta get the skills and the methodologies in place to maintain this thing. That's the way I think about it.
I think meeting with Andy on Thursdays is gonna help make sure that the items are at least identified. Then our mechanism is to get it into the calendar for those things that are Friends of Rec related.
So to answer your question, Mark, no, I don't think 90% is good enough, but it's a place to start. I don't know what the number is now, but it's not there. So the goal is to get a mechanism in place to maintain the calendar this week, and then we'll evaluate where we're at and go from there.
And we'll update things, so that by the time we're done this week, everything that we know about will be on the calendar.
So Friday, take a look, Rob, see what you think at the calendar.
Okay.
You're gonna give me a call.
Okay.
That's separate set of eyes, okay? Anything else on rec at this point?
What I got?
Any more questions from the board? Then we're gonna move on. And I haven't forgotten your request, Mark. We will be doing that today.
Okay.
Okay, where are we at? Manager's report. For some reason, Mike, I never got a copy of that in my mailbox. I didn't realize that until after I got home from the town office.
I brought some over,
Brought 'em today.
the ones that were in the boxes still, when I walked out of there, I brought over here, but I only saw one for Mark and for Mary Lee.
There wasn't one in my box. Can we share, Rob?
You
Or
can,
Bob?
yeah.
What's your name, Bob?
Yeah. You call me whatever.
I was gonna cruise through the,
I'll call you some other things.
Yeah,
I'll
don't
call
do
you
that.
Bob.
Okay.
Or Robert.
Because it's on camera, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be good.
unless you have questions, I'll go through and then at the end, if if you have questions, I'll entertain anything that I can or answer.
Give us the Reader's Digest version.
Page 4, he's now EPA certified to be able to take refrigerant out of stuff. We need a few pieces parts, and that's gonna save us money in the long run. So I thank Heath for doing that. Page number 8, paving. Highway foreman met with 3 paving companies, Wilkes, Fuller Sand and Gravel, and Pike, and they looked at East Hubbard Road, Rice Willis Road, David, blah, blah, blah. We got numbers. It's gonna cost $625,000 to repave East Hubbard Road. So we don't have that, but we will have 400. It's the worst road out of all of them. And they, I say they, because I'm not sure who said it, but one of the folks from those companies said, there's places in this road that if you don't do quickly or get done, you're gonna have to start reclaiming them, because it's getting that bad. So, that would be my recommendation, is to pave what we can, $400,000 or so of East Hubbard Road, and then the remaining section, we would apply for a Class 2 paving grant. We get them every 4th year or so. We just got one to do Blissville Road last year, so it's gonna be another couple of years. So we'll pick out the section of road that needs to get done the worst, and get that done, and then because that's a Class 2 highway, so we would use the grant to complete it at a future date. But we'll pick those sections that are needed to get done the most now, because it's I agree, it's the worst road that we have overall. It's getting to the point where there's more crack sealing than there is asphalt. But that was our preliminary stuff. I gotta still sit down with Jeff to go through the numbers, and bring something back to the select board. But
So, we're only gonna see certain sections of East Hubbard Road. You're not paving it from Route 4 all the way up to the Allen Farm.
correct. No, from,
Certain sections.
all the way to the town line. They went from the town line, Hubbard and Castleton town line, just beyond the Allen Farm,
Yeah, yes.
to back to Route 4.
But only certain sections, is that what I heard?
We can only do $400,000 worth, so
Yeah.
we gotta pick whatever
Yeah.
the worst of the worst is to
There
get
are
it
some
done.
sections, and there are already joints there, that this has been paved in sections before.
Okay.
So we'll look at the worst sections, get those done, and then come back and, I don't wanna break it up like, 3/4 of a mile, then 1/4 of a mile. It's gonna pick the worst runs that we can, and,
That we can afford to do.
yeah, and then,
So if they call me up there, they're gonna say, hey, you missed this section. I'll have an answer.
right,
We picked out the worst sections with the
Yeah.
money we have.
right.
Okay. that's all
Gotta
I'm
do
gonna-
the ugliest first.
That's right.
Try to keep the bleeding into them.
Yeah, it's gonna be cheaper than reclaiming.
Yep.
On page number 15, bottom, town office and other buildings. I received an email from the insurance carrier about the water damage here. It was like $5,800, a little over that. They said they wouldn't pay for the damage that was, considered fair wear and tear. Because the pipe was put in incorrectly and the seam was at the bottom, and that's where it rotted. I don't know if we can go back and try to get money from whoever did this at this point. I doubt there's a warranty on that stuff, so, but I'll look into it, but I'm just not holding my breath too deep on that one.
I don't know who the subcontractor was for Millbrook. It wasn't Paul McClure, I know that.
You know,
Have you ever heard of that thing?
What?
Having the seam.
it's
of the-
galvanized. It wasn't
Paul
even black pipe.
McClure, I talked to Paul McClure at a job up in the lake here about a month ago, and
He heard of it?
he said it's not unusual to have that happen.
Yeah. No, I just didn't know if
He
that.
doesn't like this pipe.
Yeah,
and these
because it's
systems.
galvanized pipe. It wasn't black pipe.
Oh, boy.
And he doesn't like these systems, and
Yep. Okay.
when you know Paul, you talk to Paul, you get usually something you can believe.
Yep. Okay.
I'm on page 19. Apparatus at the bottom of the page, last paragraph. So the check for the buyer of the 1983 Maxim ladder, that's cleared, and I just talked to Heath today, and that truck should be gone by Friday. And that will clear out space over there to move everything else in, because we still have the trailer that we're expecting, the enclosed trailer, so they needed that thing gone, so they can have the truck inside and the trailer.
Where is the trailer now, Mike?
It's still being built.
Still being built?
Whatever, from, it wasn't Lucky's, I don't think it was Lucky's.
Okay.
Because there was stuff they had to modify, that it was modified.
And that's to house the UTV, right?
And the Cascade air refill system, the ice water rescue gear, so it's,
Pumps, generator, all that kind of stuff.
That's all gotta be put
to
in
be
there.
heated and cooled, so they can change inside of it during the winter, like for ice water rescue. And
How long has that been, Mike, from the time we started with this trailer? Do you know? I just had a
I
phone call
don't.
the other day, asked me, where is the trailer? The trailer should have been here long, long ago.
I don't know, October maybe, October timeframe, I think.
Not long ago, it was last fall we ordered it.
Okay,
I
so
don't
it's
know
been
if
4 or 5 months.
It should have been here a long, long time ago, is not necessarily an accurate statement.
Now-
I don't recall the anticipated lead time, but it was months.
Now, it could be done, Bob, and they haven't taken possession of it until that truck was gone, so they had a place to put it. I didn't ask that question.
I just got the question asked me. They wanna know
I
where
will
the
find you an
trailer was.
answer, but
That's okay.
that could be the answer.
Yep.
Is, there's no place to put it right
They
now.
also asked about why the pickup's been sitting out in the dooryard for 2 or 3 months, but if you have no room in the, that's what the answer is.
We tried to squeeze a cruiser in there, and they couldn't even squeeze the cruiser in there, so, but,
All good.
Got 2 ladder trucks in there right now.
Yeah, the one's gotta go. It's
Yeah,
gotta go.
that's the one that's gonna go this week.
by Friday.
Is that correct?
By Friday,
you said,
yep,
Mike?
yep. The hazardous trees, I'm on page 21. I was able to reach Thad from Black Bear. He didn't give me an exact day that he'd be down there, but he's looking at late February into early March to take that big tree down at 445 Main Street. He will give me notice so I can let the homeowners know, and our guys will know as well, the highway crew. Because if there's any pieces of good wood, I want to be able to use it for our wood-fired boiler. Barring any of your questions, that was the highlights.
Did you see any notations on there? Did you see any notations? No?
I didn't, to be honest, I didn't get a chance to look at the electronic copy. He emailed me today, and I thought I was gonna pick one up today when I stopped at the town office, and when I got home, I didn't have one.
I
So,
didn't email it to you today.
maybe you emailed it
Friday,
yesterday.
it should have been Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Because I'll say,
But I was looking for a hard
today. I
copy.
was
I
not
knew
feeling
there'd
well
be
today.
I was looking for a hard copy, and I didn't have one.
yeah, I apologize. I don't know why it's not in your mailbox.
Well, if you can put one in my mailbox tomorrow, then I'll have it to go through and
I've got copies.
close enough.
Did you make a note of that, Mike? I asked you earlier, does the town garage have an extra set of plow blades up to the town garage? Do you know?
Of the carbide ones or regular ones?
Well, no, just an extra set.
We have regular ones.
We have regular set.
The old, whatever.
But they're there and they're usable.
Yeah.
Okay.
They found extra ones out in that pole barn.
Okay, okay. I thought you said that. I just wanted to get it on the record. Okay, okay. All right. That covers the 3 questions I had, so.
And I think I did explain that, they say the 2013 Tandem's still out of service because the bed chain doesn't fit, so they gotta cut some more out of that. And I did tell Evan, I said, if you have to find somebody else to do this work, just let me know, because we've gotta get it back in service.
Lyle up there or something, get it done.
Yep, yep.
Or I said Terry Morris, who's right up behind the place, he has a mobile trailer, welding trailer, so.
He's a pretty handy guy,
He does
too.
excellent work.
Yeah.
Can you touch on what the deal is with the chipper that's sitting at a local repair shop that was told that he's not to touch it until, do you know what they're talking about?
Well, what my directions to the highway crew were remove the guards, everything that has to be removed to get to it, to reduce the hourly charge that we would get on it, for the contractor to work on it. And if they can remove the pump, the injection pump, then do that too. Let them order the pump and put it, time it and whatever, and we'll put the guards and stuff back on it.
Can I just suggest that we leave the pump on there and let them remove the pump and install the new pump? I think that would be the safer bet to go on that one. So open it up so that he can get at it, and then
Yeah.
that'll be fine.
Take all the shrouds and guards off and then
Yeah.
get out of the way.
No problem.
Yeah, their expertise could be valuable.
Oh yeah, we don't need missing bolts and stuff like that when it comes time to go put the pump back on, or a cracked line that didn't get noticed, so let's just.
And the truck, the pickup, the replacement, I take that back. I'll rewind. if the board wants to replace the truck down at the sewer plant, and move it to the highway garage, we started working on that process. Rob made mention about G-Stones, and I misspoke because I did receive messages from G-Stones that they could have provided something, but that the one that they were talking about, they wanted us to make a decision on rather quickly because it could. And I said, if somebody comes in and wants to buy it, sell it to them. But I don't know, I got emails and a text message from this person. And I didn't reply to him. I said to Russ, call him, tell him sell the damn thing if they're gonna sell it, and then we'll get a quote. It wasn't state bid price, they're not on that list, but I told Rob that I would, reach out to him and get a quote from them as well.
Jason Kerr would be the salesman I think that would be best to reach out to.
Okay.
He said we can do whatever makes sense to the customer. You need a quote, we can do that.
Yep.
Because I asked about getting it complete, ready to go, utility body, everything done. So we're not buying a cabin chassis, then sending somewhere else to get a utility body on it, and then bringing it here to have mud flaps put on it. Just, we want a truck with a utility body, ready to go.
So I will reach out to them. Hopefully, I should have that back by the next meeting to the board,
Anything else on the manager's report?
unless you have something, questions.
Purchase orders.
You already did the video.
Here's the other three.
Alright, we'll start out with, would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053696 to Fabian Earth Moving Incorporated for the sum of $106,055.02 for sewer line repair on Route 30 North.
I'll second it, but I thought we already did this one.
We approved as sewer commissioners the expense, now we have to actually approve the purchase order.
I'll
So-
second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
The first meeting, it was mentioned that it's coming out of the operating fund, right?
Yes. That was during the sewer commissioners meeting. What's today, the 10th, correct?
Correct.
Would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053501 to Mountain Valley Sprinkler Systems for the sum of $5,379.81 for a service call responding to an alarm of trouble at the fire station for the sprinkler system for the burst pipe.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this purchase order. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053478 to Trees Incorporated for the sum of $6,720 for Drake Road, US 4 to Route 30.
Second.
It's moved and seconded.
That'd be tree trimming.
Yeah, that's coming out of the highway budget, correct?
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053615 to Cabela's for 2 Roughland XL dog kennels and 2 Roughland L large dog kennels for the sum of $2,200.52.
Second.
It's
Been moved and seconded. I have a question. I thought we already had dog kennels.
We have one big one in there, where the rest of them went, are in that, I don't know, that vacuum of when Chris left and took all that stuff. There's one over in here, so Mike requested that, and one of the things he said was, it's in his budget, it's within his budget, but he said, I won't take any money this year in, fees, his services, if he can make sure he can get the equipment that he needs to do a job, because he needs a catch pole, doesn't have that.
Where did all this stuff go?
When the when the former animal control officer was here, he stored some stuff here, and he had some stuff at his house. And when I shouldn't get into probably personnel things like that.
No.
It's amongst the missing, let's put it that way.
We've made every effort we can to retrieve it.
The police were involved and everything else, so.
Not much more we can do.
This money's in the budget?
Did we contact Roughland directly to see if they do any municipal discounts or anything like that?
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm a no on that one.
So it's 4 yes and 1 no? Motion passes. Purchase order, or not purchase orders. Warrants.
I would make a motion to approve warrant number 0206A for the sum of $7,650. Warrant number 0210R for the sum of $40,730.27. Warrant number 0130 for the sum of $7,075.02. Warrant number 0207 for the sum of $30,593.02. Warrant number 0210 for the sum of $163,194.73. Warrant number 0130P for the sum of $20,517.08. And warrant number 0206P for the sum of $20,244.39.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrants. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Can you hand those to Mark?
So I don't think there's anything in the blue folder we need to sign, is there, Mike? Oh, yes, we gotta pass around this. Aleta Dutton, how do you spell Aleta Dutton's name? I can look it up if I have.
Aleda is Aleta.
And then that's Dutton, right?
Correct.
I'll go pass that around too.
Okay.
Glad I checked. Almost forgot to check the blue folder. Looking for 7, Rob.
7.
7.
So pass those all back.
All right.
Maybe we could take paper airplanes.
That's a good idea. You probably put a pin in the front of yours, didn't you?
Am I?
Workers' comp claims.
Because we are employees, don't forget.
Everybody got their stipend thing, right?
Yeah, I've gotta remember to sign it and give it to Joe.
Because I got one, I was gonna bring it over to the office and put it in the accounting box after this, if anybody has one.
I'm pretty confident my copy's still sitting on my kitchen counter.
And do I have to bring my ID and stuff like that over? Do they need to photocopy that? I think there was something that talked about various forms of identification.
Yeah, like, you felt an I-9 and all that stuff already.
Yeah. Well, whatever came in
Oh,
that
yeah,
package.
you gotta do an I-9. I did that a while ago. All we gotta do is verify that we have health insurance, or that we don't have it,
Yeah, yeah.
that we're not eligible for town health insurance,
Okay.
because we're part-time employees.
Don't always feel that way.
Well, you had to read the whole sewer regulation this week. That was full-time. Does everyone here know our new rep, Zach Harvey?
I was
I do
trying to
now.
figure out who you were.
I see some familiar faces.
Pictures at the town office now. I'm sorry I missed you today.
That's okay.
Yeah,
You're
I-
now-
It was crazy that I just had sent Hannah a message saying, reach out to you to see if you want to be at our meeting, and then I get this email from Nedra saying that you're in the office.
The
like,
universe
wow.
aligned.
Yeah.
No, it was, I had a meeting in Rutland this morning, so I figured I'd stop by and say hello, so I was back in my neighborhood.
So you're all sworn in and on the job
I'm
now?
all sworn, I'm on the clock.
Great.
You travel every day, or do you?
I'm back here on Mondays, and then Tuesdays I go back and forth, and then Wednesday through Friday I'm in Montpelier. And it's been great. I mean, it's been a great experience so far, but I can tell you that we have our work cut out for us. That's for sure. I'll say more when we're not on the record.
Well, we're very glad that you're on the job for us.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for stepping up.
Got 7?
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus 1?
Glad that you took time to spend your evening with us.
Yeah, no, and this was great, because like I said, I wanted to at least kind of sit through a meeting before the town meeting next week, or the informational session, right, on the 7th.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's technically a hearing or a informational meeting. I remember looking at Title 17 recently, so I did have the terminology in my
Yeah,
head,
there is
but
a
it's,
nuance, I do know.
but that escapes me now. Because I made sure we were right before we did anything
Yeah,
there.
I'm still confused on how that.
I'll be happy to explain it to you.
Well, how they classified the election day as town meeting. There's no meeting.
Well, they used to vote from the floor, so.
Yeah.
Hubbardton still does that. You
That
vote at
I
town
understand.
meeting.
That is definitely a town meeting, but we don't do that anymore.
Because back, at some point in the past, somewhere in the 70s or 80s, the town voted to settle all those articles via Australian ballot, and that was town meeting. So now what we have is what we call pre-town meeting, but I think Title 17 calls it something else. Public hearing and informational hearing, something
Okay.
like that.
Well, it
That-
started, you would vote with yay and nay. And sometimes it was very obvious who won, but it reached a point where most of the time it was not obvious. So then you'd call for a floor vote, and the yays would stand up, and then they'd sit, and the nays would stand up and sit, and someone would count it. And it became, a very long process, so this was a way to streamline it. And then this year, we're having that meeting early, that typically was held the day before voting. And 80 people show up?
And that was tradition, and then, I don't know when the Title 17 was changed, or was it just Act 134 last year, or was it prior to that? That the pre-town meeting could occur, the public hearing could occur up to 30 days prior to town meeting day. And that we were legally required to give 10 days' notice for that hearing. That's what I was trying to explain via that text string that we had a couple days ago, or a few days ago.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will give more
So
people an
that's,
opportunity to
so we have to have a public hearing
what
prior
we're
to the
voting
town
on.
meeting.
Sure.
Because we've
Why.
already decided as a town to do town meeting day by Australian ballot.
Yep.
So we have to have a public hearing, and that has to be warned 10 days
Gives
prior.
people a chance afterward to come talk to us if needed.
Satisfy
to
those requirements.
Maybe get a better understanding of the articles and.
There'll be 2 videos or 2
Yeah,
recordings.
the last thing we want is to see the budget
February
defeated.
17th is when 30 days.
But there are certain things like we were discussing, the
Did
cost of
everything
paving
legally.
has tripled.
There has been a small amount of pushback
Set up
from a
to
couple of
pave.
people that don't like the new date.
Every road, every 8 years.
I like it because
Well,
you got time to answer questions.
well, the board unanimously agreed to do that, and the pushback we're getting is because it's Daytona week.
Yeah.
And there's some people that wanted to be at Daytona. that wanted to
So
be-
we're gonna make that a separate item, so people can see
I'm sorry.
why there's an increase, not just go.
Well, this
"Geez,
particular
those
person
guys are
doesn't zoom.
Spending money like drunken sailors.
And that's unfortunate, but one person can't decide what's in the best interest of
That's the hope,
4,500.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get people at
Right?
that meeting.
That's what
Move
Arjun,
forward here.
See the
we could, okay, we're gonna move on. So, select board comments, Mary Lee,
I have none.
Bob, Rob, what's your name, Rob?
Rob, I was curious as to why this faculty assessment was in my box this week.
Mr. Combs asked for a copy, and I wanted to give everybody a copy so that if there was questions that came up, you have a frame of reference.
Okay.
That was the Brightly assessment that was done last year on all the facilities, but I had specific questions for the town, for the, former village school, the rec center.
Yeah, I don't hold a whole lot of faith in this particular assessment here after looking at what they're saying a replacement value is for that green building at Dewey Field at $251,214.
I found more than one
I
thing in
think
there.
that there's a bunch of stuff in here that lends me to question this whole document, so
I would agree with that
I-
assessment.
don't think that this is worth the ink that it was written on, but
You're here.
that's
I
where I stand
found,
on
without
that.
looking very deep, I found several things in there that I didn't agree with. But that's a separate conversation to get into that in detail.
That and, when I was going through this annual report here, it says Rutland County Solid Waste District representatives for 2024 was Tim Gilbert and Jim Leamy.
They were for 2024.
Oh, yeah, we're in 2025, never mind.
I saw that and I stopped, but then I started,
They've been appointed in March of '23.
Three. Yeah. I still get screwed up with the year. fiscal
Yeah,
year.
it
should-
I still get messed up with, we're reporting on the fiscal year that ended
Yeah. I'm
in June of
behind.
2023, and it's still, sometimes you have to think back 18 months ago.
That's all I had.
Mark?
I saw we had this reasons for police officer burnout. Are we gonna be discussing that in executive session?
Only if you think we need to. I don't think we
I would
can,
believe, yes, I think we should have a short discussion on that. in
well, we gotta go
executive
into executive session for personnel. We can have
Okay,
more than
I'll
one
leave it
topic
alone
in
for
that
right now, yep.
executive session. I can think of at least two so far.
That's,
Now we're at three.
well, yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't say Castleton Police Department on it, so. I agree with going to executive session, but it,
I think it's just a blanket report.
Yeah,
that's what we printed off.
yeah, I just,
I did research on it, that's, so
okay.
it's just, it's a general statement, it wasn't directed at.
Oh, this came from you?
Yeah.
Okay, I was concerned
That
it
was
came
one of
from
my
the chief.
questions.
No. It's something when I was starting, well, we could talk about it later.
That's
Comes from a slightly different angle then.
No.
anything else, Mark?
I'm good.
Bob?
Just wondering, clarify what our meeting schedule is. I mean, well, we got pre-town meeting next Monday,
And then the following Monday, we have a select board meeting.
a select board meeting. Okay, so nothing on March 3rd, the Monday night.
That is
March-
correct.
Okay, all right.
And if you're in agreement, we'll warn a sewer, Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting also on the 24th.
Okay.
If there's ordinance issue, things that you're gonna, if that's what you want it by. I just want, so I let Hannah know that we have to warn it.
I think that when it comes time to going through the ordinance, we're gonna need a longer meeting than what we have.
yes.
I think
So-
let's focus on the town meeting, the town budget, the pre-town meeting. And
Let's
then,
push sewer back beyond unless we really need to do something.
I don't believe any of you are running a contested reelection, right?
I don't believe so.
Nobody is.
So let's just agree to tackle that not in March, or in late March and April.
I'll
And
make
we'll
a
crack
note
that nut and get it done after we get past this.
Unless something comes up where we need a sewer meeting.
Yeah. You agree with that, Mark?
I do, yeah. Hopefully, we're gonna get through this budget with no problems, but if we didn't, it's gonna consume a lot of time.
Let's focus on what we need to focus on now, and then we'll focus on other tasks once we get this one done. Bob, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I have none, I'm all set. I'm ready for executive session when you are, so I would entertain a motion for personnel to start with.
No action items?
Oh, yeah, are there anything for review or action items that,
Not other than we've already been given for homework.
yeah, we have our, we gotta continue on the sewer budget, or the sewer ordinance, but we're gonna put that off until after town meeting day.
And you want me to follow up with our attorney on some of the language about that, if the liability, one that you read off?
The sewer.
On the sewer
Yeah,
stuff.
are we is our insurance responsible to cover damage to their house?
And at some point, we need to figure out how we're gonna do that survey or assessment on what properties are possibly at risk, or do we wanna just send a letter to everyone? We'll have to decide that.
Well, if our attorney interprets that this says when the connection is at the homeowner's expense and they hold the town, what's the term, not liable.
Responsible, perhaps?
Oh, no, so they wouldn't, the town wouldn't be liable
Yeah.
for the damages if their house is below the level and it floods, they don't have a backflow preventer on it or something like that. I mean, but I know what the question is, so I will reach out to,
Anything else for action items?
We just all need to make sure that we're capable of answering any questions that should come up on our articles at the town meeting. Pre-town meeting, sorry.
Yeah, if you have concerns, reach out to me or Mike.
Other action items, I just want to make sure don't get forgotten, is we need to circle back around on Cedar Mountain Road.
Good point.
One way or another, we need to make a decision on that.
we did go back through the vault and pulled what we could, and most of the stuff had nothing that would help determine that. So the only other thing is, if I can't find it, and Jeff, I tasked Jeff to come in and meet with Nedra and go through show them how to research the deeds and go through all the property deeds that are up there to see if they can find any mention of anything like that in the deeds. So I know that between snowflakes, he probably hasn't done that yet. But I tasked him to do that. And then if we can't find something, we might have to, I also talked to John Burke regarding what he recalls about this, and he said he doesn't have any records, but he gave me a time frame when he did the research and found out his belief was it ended at the Red Barn by Doran's. And
Right, that's Blue Finch Lane or whatever.
right before Yellow Finch, right before it.
Yards
But
before
anyway,
Yellowfinch.
we'll see what we uncover ourselves, and if not, we may have to enlist some help.
Okay. I just want to make sure we don't forget it. I know that Jeff identified that as important to him, and
It
want him
needs
to feel
be resolved.
supported.
There's 2 other town roads that need to be
I
resolved.
did have
as well.
somebody stop that lives on Cedar Mountain Road that said that they were concerned that somebody was trying to represent them at the select board meeting the previous night. And he just wanted to make it clear that that individual wasn't representing everybody that lives on Cedar Mountain Road. He was very concerned that he was being misrepresented.
Yeah, and technically, we represent everyone on Cedar Mountain Road, but we have to figure out where the town's responsibility ends. Are you familiar with Cedar Mountain Road?
Yeah, I am.
So we're trying to decide where the town responsibility ends, where it goes from public road to private road. We need to identify that so that we can draw some clear boundaries. Because we have issues where, we plow it, but somebody else digs a ditch across it, and I could go on, but, So we want to get this resolved of where does our responsibility end? And we want to do that without yanking the rug out from any of the residents at the same time. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I would make a motion to go in executive session at 9:20 for personnel with the select board and the town manager.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session, all in favor?
I,
Aye.